Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin Edition. And here we are in the tutorial section right after character creation. We just talked to those three old ladies who are meant to be firekeepers. Again, fan fiction, just take it for what it is. And now, this is how the tutorial works in the game. Oh wow, one hit, nice. You get these stone slabs basically telling you how to do certain things. But if you destroy them, oh dear, the hint is gone. I have no idea why they did it that way, but they did. And that was a jumping attack, by the way. I find these difficult to execute, but it's you do forward and R2 at the same time, and you do this. If you do forward and R1 at the same time, you're supposed to do a kick. Or rather a guard break. It's not always a kick, it's something that shoves aside the enemy's shield. In the first game that would mostly be a kick. Some weapons would have a different animation though. But yeah, as you can see, I'm shoving aside an enemy's shield using that. Well, if I had an enemy with a shield at this point. And yeah, don't fall for this guy, by the way. And by shoving aside his shield, I open up his defenses, and yeah, he becomes easily attackable. That section of tutorial I'll get to in a moment. It's one of the things they definitely did change in the Scholar of the First Sin edition. Now that's the way backstabs work in this game. You just walk up to an enemy from behind, attack him, and well, you get a backstab. The animations are somewhat more intricate than the first game, but they're also faster. Oi. Yeah. The thing is, you're no longer as immortal or as invincible during certain animations. So something to bear in mind. And here you should just pull the first guy, so the archer guy can't shoot you. Okay. There's one feature which they added in this game, which I'm still undecided whether I really like it or not. It's kind of okay, I guess. And that is that if you've killed a certain enemy enough times, I think it's about 10, but really don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But yeah, if you've killed an enemy often enough, they will stop respawning. And what I will do in between cuts, and these, by the way, are the laughable attempt to make Twinkly or Sparkly, no, Sparkly it was, Sparkly and Snuggly somehow put a twist on them and make them cool again or something, but really Sparkly and Snuggly were fine, and these high-pitched voices are just annoying. Anyway, these are the crows which trade you items. They don't trade just anything anymore. There's very specific items. I believe they have no other purpose other than being traded. So there's a small, smooth and silky stone. There's a larger version of this called just a smooth and silky stone, I believe. And there's a petrified something, which is kind of the largest version, which you could choose as a starting gift. And then you trade these, but you don't get something guaranteed. Well, you are guaranteed to get something, but what you get is random. So that's what makes that starting gift kind of a bit meh, because you could get something cool. I guess there's some weapons which you can get, or something like a Titanite slab, which would be a cool upgrade material in the beginning, or I don't know, maybe a bolt stone or a firestone, something to augment your weapons with an element. But you could also get something completely useless. I think what I got in my first playthrough, when I actually did use that petrified something, because I thought I don't need the aesthetic, I think I got an old whip. So a weapon, but really it's a whip. I don't like those. Anyway, what you need to do is use the leave command. Discard destroys the item. It's kind of binning it. Leaving it drops it on the ground. So I'm going to leave this. Leave this. We get that line, which is, again, their voices are just tedious. And oh, human effigy. That's fine. It's actually kind of nice. Let's kick this ladder down for future reference and hop down here. The platforming in the game is still not ideal. So yeah. And then we hop down here. And this is where the second section of tutorial happens. And yeah, I was talking about the enemies no longer respawning after a while. What I think I'll do is, in between, I guess, sections of the game, I will probably just go out of my way to go through the area that you've already seen. So I will only do this, as I said, to sections that you've definitely already seen. And kill all the enemies in them. And basically do that until they no longer respawn. That way I will get a bunch of souls, and I will be able to backtrack and, for example, show items that I missed, or certain secrets or enemies that I've missed, without having to deal with all of the encounter again. The advantage of that system is obviously that it does allow you to eventually go through areas completely unchallenged. Or rather, you only have to deal with jumps and, you know, ladders and possibly fatal traps, but no longer with the enemies. So that's kind of nice. The disadvantage is if you're trying to farm a certain item from a certain enemy. Oh, never mind. Supposed to do a plunging attack there, but didn't. Yeah, if you're trying to farm an item from an enemy, it might be that his respawns get used up without him dropping the item. So it's kind of annoying, which is, yeah, one of the disadvantages of that system. The other one is that me being a completionist, or sort of somewhat OCD about those things, I want to clear all the enemies. It's kind of just what I want to do. I want to see them all gone and no more respawns. Incidentally, this section of the game we cannot get to yet. And that's one of the changes that I am aware of that they did for the Scholar of the First Sin edition. They decided that this section of the game really was much too difficult for you in the beginning, so they put this statue here. They've done this in a bunch of places. You need a fragrant branch of yore, which is kind of a certain, it's kind of a somewhat rare and, if you want to buy it, expensive item. And that allows you to depetrify these statues. It'll then turn into an enemy, but a very weak one, so don't worry about that. But that's the only way to pass that gate and deal with what's behind it. They made it a little more challenging than it's in the base game because they've added an enemy, but that enemy is easy to avoid. So really, mostly they just decided, oh, beginner players will find that way too difficult, let's just prevent them from going there in the first place. Which is so totally what Dark Souls should be about. Not. Yeah, but before I rudely interrupted myself once again, the downside to killing all the enemies so much is that you will end up with a lot of soul memory. And that means if you're playing online, the matchmaking will match you up with enemies that are of vastly higher level. Which sucks, because a few times in my sort of private playthrough before I set the game to offline for good, the few times I played online and I was matched up with enemies, I was matched up with enemies who were much more powerful than I was. They had much higher levels and clearly much better equipment. So when I backstabbed them, I did about maybe 20% of their health, and when they backstabbed me, it was a one-hit kill. So, yeah. Incidentally, if you're trying to play as a cleric, why would you? This is where you get the cleric starting equipment, basically. You get a Morning Star and a cleric's chime, which I believe they start off with. So all you would then be missing is the Archdrake robes, which aren't that great anyway. And here are some binoculars, which are equipped as weapons in this game. And so that's that first section, and here's Majula. Yeah. Any bonfire now also gives you the ability to burn a torch or light a torch, by the way. I should probably show you. Right here you see that next to my armor equipment, to the right of it, there is a counter currently showing 5 minutes with a kind of torch symbol next to it. But if you don't know it's a torch, it's somewhat difficult to identify, I guess. It might also be a kind of random wooden stick or a kind of strangely deformed dagger or something. Anyway, that's my torch time. Every torch I pick up is not added to my inventory in any way. It's just it just adds 5 minutes to that counter. So I don't carry torches in my bag here. They're not like as consumables or anything like that. They just add 5 minutes to the counter, and that's how long your torches will last. So basically, you, instead of having 2 torches, you basically, when you pick up a new torch, it just becomes a longer lasting torch. Again, it's not realistic, but that's one of those things where games rarely are, and it's just convenience. Okay, so at this point you will see a cut. And welcome to the other end of the cut. I have 6,320 souls now. The reason for that is I completely vanquished the starting area in that direction over there. That's where we came from. There are no more enemies there. The respawns have been used up. Maybe you saw a little bit of a sort of compilation of some kills. I'm not certain. Anyway, I'll keep doing that throughout the game, throughout the LP. Yeah, as I've explained. Now, this is Majula. It's kind of the central hub. Think of it like, it's not quite like Firelink Shrine. Maybe more like the Nexus in Demon's Souls. I mean, not quite, but the comparison is fine, I guess. I guess one of the issues that makes the NPCs in this game seem a little less fleshed out is that basically when you meet an NPC and fulfill certain requirements, he'll permanently move to Majula. So this is kind of a central collection point for all your needs. This is the only place you can level up. Again, no idea why they took that, brought that back from Demon's Souls, but they did. And yeah, this is basically where peace will be. Except behind one of those houses there's a bunch of pigs that will attack me, but I have no interest in dealing with them. So let's start out with you. Hello, person.
Hello there. Welcome to my shop. I'm Morlin, and I sell armor. Oh, sorry, Please do have a look at my wares. I could really use the business, if you'd be so kind.
And so I will spend a fair amount of my hard-earned souls to buy, I think, the Silver Eagle Kite Shield. He also sells certain armor. Standard, I think this is what the warrior starts out with. Infantry armor without an infantry helmet. Maybe that set just doesn't have a helmet, I guess. And the Falconer set. I think that one's actually pretty interesting. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't mention any special abilities. But yeah.
Thanks very much. And do please come again.
As you buy stuff from him, or spend souls rather, he will expand his inventory, but right now I only wanted a shield. I don't have the strength right now to use it. I need 10 points in strength. So that's actually going to be the next thing I do. I'll show you the level up NPC. Actually, before I do that, might as well get some 2 items. Well, firstly this, which is just a life gem. It's not particularly good, but hey. And over here by this well, you do an attack. Stone falls down, and you get an Estus Flask shard. And what that does, we'll see in just a second. This is the Emerald Herald, who is annoying.
Are you the next monarch? Or merely a pawn of fate? Bearer of the curse, I will remain by your side till this frail hope shatters. Take this with you. May it ease your journey.
She really does have a lovely voice. And I don't mean this ironic, I actually do like the voice actor.
He who made Drangleic what it once was. He who peered at the essence of the soul. King Vendrick.
The problem is that every single time I want to talk to her to level up or reinforce my Estus flask, every single time there are 3 or 4 lines of dialogue that she will always say before you get into the menu. And the funny thing is, they did this better in Demon's Souls, which she is pretty much the Maiden in Black remade. I mean, she's now in green, but point taken. In Demon's Souls, as soon as you spoke to the Maiden in Black, you could just select level up or seek soul power, I think it was called, and start spending your points. And while you were spending your points, she would do her dialogue like, "Let strength be grand, so the world may be mended." Whereas here, first the dialogue, then the level up. The level up itself is better, because you can spend more than 1 point at a time. Whereas in Demon's Souls, it was basically, if you wanted 10 points in strength, you had to say 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point until you had 10. But repeating the dialogue is just tedious.
Bearer of the curse, seek misery. For misery will lead you to greater, stronger souls. You will never meet the king with a soul so frail and pallid. Seek those whose names are unutterable. The 4 endowed with immense souls. Their souls will serve as beacons. Once you have found them, return here to me, so that hope will not fade away. Is that a shard you found? Here, let me see it, so that I may help you to see light, to see hope, however faint it might be.
Yeah, so once we have an Estus flask chart in our inventory, basically her dialogue changes a little bit. And now, finally, we actually get to use it. And this gives us, the Estus flask shards give us additional uses on the Estus flask. Whereas we need to find an item called Sublime Bone Dust to basically improve the strength of it, so make it +1, +2, +3, etc. It's currently base level. And we want 1 point of strength for the moment. You do level up a lot more in this game than you do in Dark Souls or Demon's Souls. And now I should be able to equip the Silver Eagle Kite Shield. My roll is still fine. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I now want to talk to you. Hello.
Who are you? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just help me open this door. I packed my tools in here, seeing it was vacant. But now somebody's gone and locked the door.
Okay, so this is our first blacksmith, but he's currently not working because, well, he put all his stuff in this his house, and now someone locked the door. Now you would think it's not that difficult to get in through, say, the windows, and in there's definitely the tools required to break open the door from the inside, but yeah, it's just basically we need to find a certain item before we're able to access his services. I think I will just show you quickly what I meant by the annoying dialogue.
Bearer of the curse, seek souls, larger, more powerful souls. Seek the king. That is the only way. Lest this land swallow you whole, as it has so many others.
And there you have it. That's 4 lines of dialogue. She will say those every single time you want to level up or upgrade your Estus Flask. I mean, if you want to upgrade the flask, and she says, like, is that a shard you found? Blah blah blah. So in future I will obviously skip through this because it's just annoying, but I don't understand why they made this. I mean, they could have made it so that they open up the menu and now her dialogue plays while I do the level up. I mean, right now, dialogue could play. I wouldn't mind, but... Anyway, I am going to... Oh, adaptability is really low on this. I'm going to spec that higher. And yeah, I'm spending all of my souls for the moment. We will get more fairly soon. Episode length in this is probably going to be a bit varied. Yeah, not much I can do about it. And I think this is the way I want to go. I'm hoping. As I said, second playthrough, so I'm really not too familiar with the layout of the world yet. So let's just see. Open this. Don't think there's anything too good in here. A rusted coin. Fair enough. And yeah, rusted coins. They temporarily increase my luck, which is my drop rate. But really very temporary. So not really something I like to use. And these gates here, because the game has no loading screens in between areas, but they couldn't really, I don't know, couldn't do it like in Dark Souls 1 where they managed to actually hide the loading in the background. Basically that gate there is a loading screen. It covers up the fact that the game is at that point loading. Okay, yeah, this is the place I want to be. Let's go down here. Open this chest. And this is another place where I do tend to die a bit. Okay. Not a particularly clean jump, but it worked. You get a homeward bone and soul of Lost Undead. If you don't jump far enough, right about 2 steps further down this way, the water is so deep that you drown. And your character can't swim in this game, just like in previous ones. You just die. And here we have one of those fat guys. I don't want to fight you right here, though. So please don't aggro onto me. Thank you. Oh. No idea why I missed you, but apparently I did. And then there's you as well. My shield right now does not have 100% physical damage reduction, but it'll do. And we get a life gem. So the Estus Flask refills every time we sit at a bonfire like this one. Life gems instead, I'll just use one. They give you a much slower regeneration, but you can use more than one and it basically stacks with itself. And yeah, they're just kind of farmable and consumable healing items that don't restock. Well, they don't automatically restock. I mean, you can find more than... Come on. I want him to do his, you know, fall down attack. Come on, like this. You know you want to. It's not that easy to bait, so... yeah, it's too slow. Problem is when he's got his back against the wall, you can't really get into the position you need to bait him into it. Okay. Come on, why don't you just do it, for heaven's sake. Difficult can it be to sit down on me? Or try to anyway. I mean, yeah, I could use that attack as well, but this is much nicer. Come on, sit down. Wrong direction, dude. Okay, one more. There we go. And this guy gives you 1,000 souls, and he respawns as well. So what I'll do in between this episode and the next is I will kill this guy the maximum number of times. I think it's 10 or 12, I don't know. Something along those lines anyway. Basically, and also these few foot soldiers until they stop respawning. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope this kind of style is fine for you. And yeah, maybe we'll see each other again in the near future. Bye bye.